give everybody a couple minutes to join because it's not technically 9 yet, and then we'll keep on keeping on. So far I thought I was going to hate being remote, but I've really liked it. So how's everybody feeling about being remote? I know some of you guys are still going to the clubhouse and hanging out, but overall, how are we feeling about it? Love it? Yeah. I feel a lot less stressed and I feel like I get more done. Not as bad. Yeah. Yeah, I was expecting this to be like a dumpster fire. Yeah. With hardcore Nick or student Nick? I need you guys to be labeled different. I'm adjusting, yeah. I will say, I think Sarah said yesterday that, yeah, Tehran, yep, that she was moving a lot less. And I totally agree. Like normally I walk like a mile or two a day. Let's see how much I walked yesterday. So my average is typically, so Monday I walked 3 miles. Yesterday, 0.3. So I probably should go walk or something. I wish my apartment complex had like a walking path. That'd be nice. My old ones did. They had like lakes and geese and stuff. Maybe I'll go to the canal or something after we are done. All right, so it's 9, but it doesn't look like I have everybody yet. Also, this meeting shouldn't kick us out, so we should be good to go the whole time. So we'll kick off at our break at like 10 like we normally do. But other than that, it should work. Tyler, it looks like you're in here twice. I always love that when I try to do that at channel thing, Slack is like, are you sure you want to? And I'm like, yes, I know what I'm doing. That's weird. Okay. Yeah, Zoom has not been really impressive, but at least I got Zoom to work. Good morning. Okay, how many do we got now? It looks like we're hopping up. All right, I don't want to waste too much time waiting for everybody to get on, so if you are already here, can you just put something in the chat to let me know? You know, a good morning, a emoji, your favorite fact about bumblebees. I don't care, just, you know, something. My favorite bumblebee fact is that they can see ultraviolet light. Bumblebees have fuzzy butts. Good bee facts. Love it. Duck quacks don't echo. That sounds like fake news, but I love it. Bumblebees are ride or die kind of bugs. I don't know what to do with this information. Okay, so that's Sarah, Tyler, Teron, Chuck, Shanice. All right, Sarah, Tyler, Lexi, Teron, Chuck, Shanice. And then Jimmy told me he was going to be late. Okay, there's Diane. Tawanda, you just love having that hand raise thing, don't you? I'm lowering your hand. Ha! Okay, I see you. All right, so there's Tawanda. Jamila, I see that you logged on. Give me something in our good chat, preferably a Bumblebee fact. Okay, there's Nick. Great. Okay. I think we're getting there. Present. Wonderful. I should use it. Like, I think it's a cool feature. I should like be more involved with it. Like, raise your hand when you're done or whatever. I don't know what other little features we have. I'll figure it out. That's okay. I should maybe like learn how to use the tool I'm supposed to use maybe. Okay. Cool. All right. So wait. There's Nick. I think I'm still missing some. I think I'm still missing some people, but let's go ahead and get started. So I was looking at what I want to get done this week, and I don't really want to do everything I have scheduled for this week and this week because it's a lot. So I'm going to kind of smush around our syllabus a little bit because week 9 and 10 is technically only 1 week of content anyways. So I'm going to smush some stuff into next week so that way we're not stressing out. So today is going to be just Node and MySQL and making them talk to each other. We're going to go over what a prepared statement is, why we don't care what a prepared statement is, transactions, some more syntax stuff, and then we're just going to like make little demos and like be like, okay, so this is how we get our JavaScript to talk to this, and just have them. We'll just do a bunch of demos for the rest of the day after we get through all of our vocab section is my goal for today. So that way you guys know exactly what's up. Teron, that ride or die bug is just getting me. I can't. That's the plan. Tomorrow we will be doing JavaScript and virtual machines. And then Friday we're going to start doing some server stuff. And that's what's up. All right. So let me go ahead. I have massive respect for bees. All right, let me figure out how to share my screen again. All right, boop, boop. Okay, well, hold on, I'm learning something. I can just share, look at that, wow. That was supposed to be a heart, but it looks like a mitten. Okay, that's cool, that's good to know. Okay, delete, get gone, goodbye. Okay, was me learning a new feature. You don't respect bees, Nick? I can share my iPhone screen with you guys? This is weird. Okay, sorry. I shouldn't be like live learning, but that's just how it be. Okay, and then I have to open the chat back up once I shared my screen. They're overrated? They're not overrated. The bees are our friends. Okay. Unpopular opinion. Okay, so what I want to do, so you guys have all those videos about any other SQL concepts, because there's a bunch of stuff that I'm not going to talk to you too much about unless you have specific questions about it. Like I'm not going to really talk about like one-to-many relationships and all that kind of stuff. But the video series that I put in, I got to stop moving so much. The camera doesn't like to refocus. He goes through all of these different concepts. I also added in week 6, I added a updated data type thing. So hopefully that fixes any issues we've been having with the date time stuff. So that should be in week 6 if you guys need that. Okay, so I want to go through everything in this Node MySQL section that we didn't finish this week, so that way we have all of it. So first thing is this question mark next to multiple insertions is not because I was like, I don't know what this is. In fact, it's one of the few SQL things that I'm like, got it, can do. We get to use this, where'd it go? This question mark. So see here on this last line of this code snippet, it's asking us where slug equals question mark and parent ID equals question mark. It's not because like they were like, I don't know what this is supposed to be. It's for security, so that way we don't have to hand in like things like IDs and all that in statements, so that way we don't have to worry so much about like how we're transmitting data. Before we keep on keeping on, does anybody remember what a slug is? Not like the little slimy creatures. I'm not sure we talked about it. Like a token. It's not a terrible guess. We probably talked about it briefly when like we talked about what status codes were like a long time ago. So probably was like, oh yeah, URL slug, boop, and that's it. Okay, so let's talk about that then, because we need to know that. Okay, so a URL slug is a part of a URL or link that comes after the domain extension. So like, let's go back to Stack Overflow. So the slug for this question on Stack Overflow is all of that. This is also nice because you guys can actually see when I'm pointing to part of the URL. So I'm not sure why it's called a slug, but you use this kind of stuff to help navigate people to the right page or get information back, because you can put a GET request and that has, you know, slug information in it. Yep. Yeah, I don't know why it's called a slug. I don't think it really makes sense. I think it's short for something. I don't remember. I'm going to go ahead and put that definition in Slack though, so you guys have it. I'm interested to know the etymology now. We're getting too deep. Weird. Okay, so apparently journalism. So like all of our design stuff comes from journalism, I guess. Weird. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed that little bit of derailment. That's okay, I want you guys to have that word in your brain. Okay, so going back to MySQL, not how URLs work. Brain slug. Brain slug is very powerful. That's how I feel most of the time. So we're going to talk about these magic words called prepared statements. All right, but let's read this. Prepared statements use the question mark MySQL to allow for binding parameters to the statement. Okay, so let's think about this, and let's think about what this would look like in like a different kind of language, so that way we can hand it back over to MySQL. What does binding parameters sound like? What's something that we do in JavaScript all the time? Arguments? Yep, exactly. Exactly. When we have a function call, we can put arguments in it, and then we can hand it new data based on that. That is exactly what this question mark does for us in MySQL. So that way we don't have to hard code every single thing. We can bind things to each other so that way we can keep our information in our SQL statements separate, which can be really nice for security. Can I like thumbs up or react to people's chats in Zoom? Because that is a very good answer. I can't. Okay. Gold star, Jamila. 10 out of 10. All right. So that's cool, except for like we're not actually going to use prepared statements that much in MySQL specifically with the way that we're going to use it. I do want you to understand what they are and like be aware of them, but using the MySQL module that we're using, they're not technically supported, but they're not technically supported for a really cool reason. So we will talk about that. All right, any questions about this kind of like placeholder thing of a question mark? Yo, you gotta just type N in the chat or something. You gotta give me something. There we go. Thank you. You gotta show me that you were engaged. All right, cool. Let's look at this SQL statement and let's just see if we can figure it out. We don't have to, but you know, let's just read it and think about it and look at it for a second and then we'll keep on keeping on. All right. So we got some weird stuff. So we got page.star and author.name as author. That's weird. We haven't talked about as yet. Yeah, I get that. I had to do a lot of cleaning this morning. I made a bunch of dice last night, and so now everything is a hot mess. So any guesses what this keyword of as does? I think we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but not a lot. I don't think I use this keyword. Even give me a wrong guess, guys. Change keyword to something else. Exactly. Yep. Yeah, those are both really good. What it gets called is called aliasing. Okay, cool. All right. Excellent. Hello. And this is just kind of like renaming things so that way we don't have to it's not exactly a connector, it's more just relabeling things. And the reason we care is because sometimes when you make columns, they get named really ugly things, or you want to smush multiple columns together to get a result. And so instead of having like book, published date, and you know, book, publishing, house, you can just be like both of those little snippets as book info, and then you have a lot less to parse through when you're reading it. It doesn't change the content, it just relabels the columns so that way it's easier to understand what's up. Yeah. It's a fun time. We gotta like, I don't mind if you guys unmute yourself to like add commentary. I just don't want it to just be hanging out so there's all the background noise from 15 people. But yeah, if you want to unmute your mic and talk, that is a-okay. I just don't want them to have them hanging out the whole time. Okay. Exactly. All right. I don't remember what this like dot notation means. I think it's just asking us for big dogs. Yeah. I miss having a dog. I had a dog before, and then like I had dogs when I lived with my parents, but now I got nothing. I got my plants and that's it. They're very quiet. All right. We got some left joins, and then let's just look at the keyword. It is very sad. They don't like play or anything. What else? So if we were to draw, and then we could see like the question that we were talking about yesterday that I didn't know the answer to of like joining on multiple tables. we can see that we're joining on 3 tables, which is cool. So we're getting pages, bless you. We're getting pages, authors, and updaters, and then smushing them all together where we have IDs and slugs being passed to match. Fancy. All right. So this is what we're talking about when we talk about a prepared statement. I just want you guys to kind of like, a prepared statement is a blah, 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 blah. That's mostly what I want from you guys. We won't super use it because the module we use doesn't really support it. They're also called parameterized statements, which I think kind of makes more sense than a prepared statement in the way that it gets used. Basically, it's just saying like, I know I'm going to have to write the same SQL over and over again. So just like how we create JavaScript functions, we create a prepared statement that has parameters. So that way we can just use it all the time and hand it new data as we use it, instead of manually typing in values all the time. They also get called bind variables, which I think is really confusing, but if people are talking about bind variables, that's what they mean. They're just parameters, they're arguments. I don't think they get called arguments in SQL, but same thing. This second step is the most important step, I think, for most SQL things, is when you create a prepared statement, it's just like writing a function. It does not get called. Exactly. Yep, the question mark is a placeholder we will assign later. Exactly. Yep. And then later we execute it just like when we call a function later, when we give it the actual values. But yeah. Yeah. So this sounds like it's really effective and it can save us a lot of time. What do we think this other thing of not directly handing information to our database gives us? What do you think it helps with? Security, exactly. Yep. So because prepared statements do I don't want to get too much into like encoding and encryption, blah, blah, blah. Basically, it treats it more like it escapes all the characters for us, especially when we talk about the node module implementation of MySQL. So that way, when we do stuff like, I really want to like write, I want to see if I can share a whiteboard and a screen, but I don't think I can. So I'm going to flip over to a whiteboard for a second. So I think I need to do this. And then I do this. Okay, there we go. And then I can move this, clear. I think you guys can draw too if you want. So when we do stuff like, that's how we write a SQL comment. And so then you'd write, naughty SQL code to break database. If you escape those comment characters and you put them in quotation marks, I don't know why it keeps breaking it up into a line like that. I don't approve. It doesn't do anything. And so now that code is rendered useless, which is why the MySQL module for Node is really nice, is because it does it for us, which is why we don't really care about it doesn't work on the MySQL module for Node. There's a native implementation of MySQL in Node that you can write prepared statements with. But using the module version of it instead, it does it automatically, so we don't have to worry about it. which is very fancy. Yep. But you should know what a prepared statement is, because most other implementations of SQL, you have to do something like this. So in this particular case, it won't super matter to us, but I want you guys to be aware of what it is, because most other systems, you have to do this. But yeah, all right, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna close this. I think I do this, and then I go here, and I go, nope, this one, go, there we go. I also, I hate that it closes everything every time I switch screens. Okay, cool. Okay, oh my goodness. It like literally redrags and moves every single thing every time I change screens, and it's driving me insane. Okay, so give me a one-liner for what a prepared statement is. Or even just like it's kind of like a butamis. It's like a function in JavaScript. Exactly. Yep. It's like a function. Butamis. Yep. Yep, it uses question marks instead of like variable names. So when we're doing other SQL implementations, as you continue on your programming journey, you'll probably write these, a statement that has been prepared. Thanks. That's okay. It's not wrong. And those are my favorite kind of answers. All right. Okay. So there's that. I just want you guys to have it in your brain. We're not really going to use it because we don't super need to. But I want you guys to have that exposure so you have it in there. Typically, when I've used prepared statements in SQL stuff, it's been like writing really huge, long things that are complicated that need to push a lot of data. Again, when I did like car insurance stuff, you had like all these different things you'd have to hand in. So like states and different forms and blah, blah, blah. And that's when I've used them. But yeah, you can use them for just teeny tiny one-liners, but typically prepared statements tend to be really big pieces of code. All right, so let's talk about let's just look at this. I don't know if I super care. What is this? Okay, so this is this one's in your syllabus, and this is what I was talking about that we don't care, and like I'm putting that in pretty big quotation marks here, about using these. So to what? Okay. Yeah, it's all good. We'll get there. All right, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. String escaping by default is what we care about. Blah, blah, blah. This is what we write. This line right here, does anybody know what XSS is? Two S's? XSS. Does anybody know what that is? No, I'm not running out. Something bad. Okay, that's good because we're preventing it. So that's good. Any other guesses? And then I guess we're gonna do like a little bit earlier break while I try to figure out why it's kicking me out of meetings because I have a paid account and I'm logged in on it. Spite. Yeah. Yep. All right. So that it stands for cross-site scripting. Any guesses about what that means? Because we know what a site is and we know what scripting is. So what do we think it means when we say cross-site scripting? Yeah, you refer to another site. Exactly. Yep. Yes, we will be doing websites and scripting. So cross-site scripting is when you try to get someone else's website to run JavaScript that it might not supposed to. The reason that this works is because you know how we can use other people's code normally? You can import modules or you can host scripts using a CDN. And most of the time it's fine. Most of the time you're running code that you want to run and like your user might be aware that that's what you're doing. In the most vague of sense of like there are resources in the background that do things. But when we're doing cross-site scripting maliciously, what's happening is you're running scripts on other people's websites without them knowing. And so this can cause all sorts of issues. You also get this thing called CORS, C-O-R-S, and that's when you get these weird kind of restrictions going on too. So yeah, we'll talk about it. I don't know if we'll talk about it a lot more. I think when we do our security stuff, we'll touch on it a little bit more, but yeah. XSS is not like a cool version of CSS. It is a attack format for writing scripts. It's not like extreme style sheets. Okay, we'll talk about what this idea of hashing is too when we do all of our security stuff. It's a lot of math, but we don't have to know how to do it. We just don't have to know how to be like, please do the math. All right. Cool. So this node library, the one that we're using, the module that we're using, performs this escaping already, which is just like kind of magic. So we don't have to worry about it as much when we're using this implementation, which is cool. I would like to point out this really, like, as I was reading through this really tickled me. If you're really worried about SQL injection, just use MongoDB. Can't do SQL injection if you're not using SQL. Big brain time. That also is sometimes a reason to switch over to a different standard. Is I read this thing that said like WordPress and Apache struts account for 55% of all weaponized vulnerabilities. They make up like 60% of the internet. If you're using a tool that everybody else is using, it can be really easy to break into it. Like, you know, when people say Macs can't get viruses, it's not true. There's just less Macs, and so it's less valuable to spend time on that attack front versus everybody has a Windows machine. So it's easier to make those kind of viruses. And I guess not easier. You are more likely to be successful because there are more people to attack. We'll talk about it more. But yeah, if you're really worried about SQL injection, use NoSQL. It tickled me. I don't know why it tickled me so much, but it did. All right. So what does escaping characters mean? Ignore. Not quite ignore. What do you mean? Don't read its code. Yeah, there we go. That's exactly it. That is exactly it. Yep, exactly. So I want to show you guys, I don't know what you're saying, Diane, and then I want to show you guys one of my favorite examples of SQL injection. So he figured this camera system, what they did, this is also one of my favorite websites. I hang out on Hackaday way too much. There was this system for speed traps that would take your license plate and compare it to the database of all the license plates. So he had it drop the entire table. So he has the license plate number and then a little apostrophe, and then you have this little check right here that just basically says true, and then in just next one that says drop table. Yep. And I'm pretty sure it worked, which is pretty cool. So this is why we care about doing it, because if you drop the entire table of license plates, I bet you that table was not only used by the system, I bet you it was used in a whole bunch of places, and now it's gone. This is typically what people do. They will either insert false records, they will get things to print out to where they're not supposed to be, or they will just drop stuff. Because like, think about it, like if you're gonna break into like the IRS, you might want other people's information, but you could be a lot more malicious by just deleting everybody, right? And that would have much more of an impact. So that's why we care about doing preventing SQL injection. The other thing I want to show you guys is fun comic time. Yep. So I'm sure, I think I've shown you guys a couple of these comics before. He also wrote a book. It's called How To. I highly recommend it. It's so dumb, but it tickles me so much. But so in this, the mom named her kid Robert Drop Table Students, and it drops everything. Called what? The book is called How To. It's in the Pines Library System, so you can go check it out. The downtown library is still open, and she said they didn't know how long they were going to stay open. I highly recommend it. It is a lot of fun, like calculating the like if you wanted to like move your house, how much gasoline you would need to like rocket launch your house. It was very entertaining. If you've ever enjoyed like physics or asking really dumb questions, it's very good. Cool. All right. So that's why we care, is because we can break things pretty easily. This is one of the things I was talking about yesterday when we were looking at that example. When do we come back? You know what, you're right. I always forget that we're going to get, I thought everything was fixed and fine. Let's go ahead and let's come back at 10. And yeah, we'll do that. We'll come back at 10. Theoretically, all of my stuff shouldn't be doing this, but I wonder if it's because this is a pre-existing meeting, as if it's still on the old free account. So I'm going to do some digging and try to fix it, but we'll come back at 10. Yeah, thanks for reminding me that it was